And I'm Dee.
We're two divorced.
Well, I'm still separated.
Okay. Working parents.
We talk about all the things you get to deal with when your marriage ends. Like
co-parenting.
Dating.
Running a household all by yourself.
How early is too early for a good hard drink?
Or a glass of wine. And how do you keep it all together after everything fell apart?
This is
The Married Life. This is a big one today, Dee. Dee
We're
reached
so
out to some
excited for
guests
this.
because they manifested a man.
Yeah.
They're magicians.
They are magical guests. And because I was able to manifest somebody due to them, I wondered if I would have the same ability to manifest them onto this podcast to talk to us.
And
it worked.
it worked. It totally worked. Oh my God. I love the text when I get Erin.
Erin. The tone was supposed to be Erin.
I was like in a meeting or something and I get this. I was like, oh my God, I've missed something. And then I see the email. I was like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. Yes. So this is very exciting. So should we bring them on and actually let everybody know who these amazing magicians are?
I think we should. Are they in the waiting room?
They are coming. Let's welcome them in. We are so excited to have with us today Christina Hobbs and Lauren Billings, who joined together like the Power Rangers to become best-selling romance author Christina Lauren. But instead of defeating bad guys in poorly dubbed fight sequences, they create sexy fun in book after hilarious book with their, and I quote, trademark snark and steam. Welcome, Christina and Lauren, who have monetized snark. And I mean, all things aside, that is just, we need the secrets to that.
I think that the secret is writing with your best friend, because then you're just writing for your best friend. That's all you're doing. You're just trying to entertain this one other person.
Mm-hmm. It must be so much fun.
It is. It's the best job.
Dream job, right?
Yeah, we look at other writers, especially when we could travel and we would see them at signings and they're just sitting there by themselves and we're just like, crazy people, what are they even doing?
How do you do this alone? Yeah. I mean, writing is very isolating. Mm-hmm. You know, you're in your office, like just trying to pull things from your brain out of nowhere. And so being able to do that with somebody and just having this person I can call no matter what time and no matter where she is in the process, and she's just as invested as I am and just as excited about something. So it's pretty great.
Totally. Like with Dee, it was so funny because there was a time when she was going to move away.
Oh man.
And I was so devastated because I'd finally met this friend who was a mom, but also into doing creative stuff and doing all of those things together. And I thought, oh my God, this person is amazing. And then she's like, yeah, I'm moving. She didn't say it like this, but I'm like, yeah, I'm moving to LA. And I was like, no. So fortunately that didn't happen. But when you find that person that matches you on so many levels and you can be creative and, as you say, invested together, that's super exciting.
Yeah.
You two don't live in the same city anyway. So Erin, it could have worked out. Where are you two based?
Erin's like, don't even tease.
Don't start with me.
Yeah.
Just don't start.
So I'm in Southern California. I'm in Orange County. And Christina is just outside of Salt Lake City in Utah. So we're just over 700 miles apart, but we make it work. I mean, the pandemic has thrown a little bit of a wrench in it, as it has for everything. Mm-hmm. This is a relatively small wrench because we can still see each other over the computer screen every day.
How did that change your writing process?
Well, we always get together to outline in person. Mm-hmm. And so that we haven't been able to do for this most recent book. But even beyond that, I mean, we tend to see each other. Like, we got really lucky in the last couple of years. We would travel a lot for work stuff and for signings. But I mean, we got used to seeing each other like every month, twice a month. So it's been hard to not be together in person because there's just a magic that happens when we're in the same room. You know, she's my favorite person. So it's hard.
We had a phone call on Sunday morning, I think it was, and we were talking about like the future and books are going to write because we just turned a book in Sunday, I think.
Does that ever stop being exciting? This is what, your 26, 20 something?
When we turned in is our 28th.
And like, is it still like equally exciting as like the first? Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when we really love it. Like this one, I think the last few books we've written, from Holidays, Soulmate Equation, and then this one, which is still untitled. It's just like, it's all been fun.
Oh, so good. And this one is like a Romancing the Stone type of book. And so it was really exciting to kind of go, holy crap, we did this entirely different thing that still feels like us, but
Yep.
is like more.
Yeah.
It's like a sidecar. See, normally I don't get those things. Normally, if it's any drink related thing, I go, and then he opens a bottle of whatever Lo puts in here.
Yeah. She
That
leaves
one I
the
knew.
booze details to me, and I never describe like plants. I'm like some kind of flowering plant Christina will put.
I love that. Yeah, it's like why stretch yourself? You know the other person's got that thing down. Yeah.
Work to your strengths.
I'll be like,
Booze
they
and
opened a bottle
flowers.
of Boone's Farm or whatever it's called.
Not putting Boone's Farm in a book unless it's a joke, then maybe I will.
So what do you think attracts people to your books? They're
I mean, I
just
think it's
damn
for-
good about how about that?
I hope, I'd like to think they're attracted to our books for the reason we write them, which is to give our readers, mostly women, something to enjoy in their day. I mean, not that we don't have other things to enjoy, but we just want to make women laugh and happy and have a little bit of escape, you know? And so if we do that for our readers, then we've succeeded. It just doesn't have to be that deep. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean that to be like, to diminish what we do, but the whole point is for this to be a fun experience for us to write and for you guys to read. That's it. So,
And that rings true for you too, Christina?
Oh yeah, if a reader comes up to us or emails us or whatever and says, you know, I was going through this thing. Like I remember there was somebody, or their dad was like in the hospital with cancer, and they were essentially like watching him die. And they had said, like, for just that couple hours I was reading on Honeymooners or whatever it was like I got to escape. And so if they tell us that, you know, for a few hours in their day, they got to be somewhere else and laugh for maybe the first time in a while, it's like we feel like we did our job.
yeah, and I think that there are books where we put more of our heart into it. I would say like autobiography and Love and Other Words. You know, we definitely put more of ourselves into those. And I think in many ways, being able to write romance gives us the opportunity to show all the different ways that women can be strong and that women can find happiness, whether the journey in the book is primarily about them finding themselves or them falling in love. I think it gives us a chance to just sort of love on women a lot. So
You've got some great male characters in your books too. That's something that Erin and I both noticed. It was funny. We were sort of putting together our questions that we were going to ask you, and we both literally started writing the same question.
Emotionally
at the same time,
available.
which
We
was-
said
yeah,
these
yeah.
emotionally available men.
well, they
They're
have
so
to deserve
great.
these women. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, we want women in real life to know what they deserve, and they deserve men that can talk about feelings and can be vulnerable and can root for them in their own journey and want their career to be just as big and important as theirs. So I feel like the men have to live up to the female characters that we strive to write. I hope we succeed, but they have to live up to that. Right.
Well, we both picked up on it. We were like, thank God.
Yep.
Because
Yeah,
I was on a divorce, separation, whatever it is, group on Facebook, and somebody was talking about dating after divorce and saying, oh my gosh, it's so hard. And some dude got on there and he's like, well, you're used goods, get used to it. You know, this is how it's going to be.
Where's the moderator? Moderator.
And I'm like,
Get
hell
him outta
no. I got on there. I normally do not fight with people on the internet because it's just a waste of time and energy. But I was like, no. This is not what we do. So just.
That's how she broke her wrist. Just angry
Yeah.
reply.
It was
Oh my
worth
God,
it.
I love that. I hope you tell that story. I hope that somebody says, how'd you break your wrist? You say, I was fighting with a dude on the internet.
I owned a troll on Facebook. Oh yeah, but that's the thing. So when Dee and I, you know, our marriages both ended sort of somewhat around the same time, not planned that way, but it's just kind of the way it happened.
They're just really good friends.
I did such a good job of it. She's like, yeah, that looks really fun. I'm just gonna jump in there too. But that message of hope, because there's so much fear in ending a relationship or having it end, and you think your life is going to look one way. So looking to books like this that do give you hope, and they're not setting unrealistic expectations as far as I'm concerned, because men who treat you like that, yes, please. And women who are interesting and creative like that, yeah. You know, why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is your sort of mission when you're sitting down to write a new book in terms of that kind of hope? You are telling a story of escapism, and maybe it's you know, in holidays it's maybe not totally realistic in terms of, I'm going to go back in time. I was reading your book when the wrist happened, and I thought, oh man, I want that thing where I go back in time and can redo stuff.
Undo it.
I need that split second back. But what is your sort of thought about your reader when they're sort of, because especially now with the pandemic?
So like when we're writing, number one, like for the characters we write, who this person would fall in love with.
Mm-hmm.
So like the love story is like, especially right now during the pandemic, it was just, and also we wrote in a holidays in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And then
in
the book
summer of 2019.
Yeah. And then the book that we, Soulmate Equation, we wrote we were finishing it at the beginning of 2020. So we were finishing it. I think we turned it in like May. So like March, April, May, we were, in the pandemic. So this next one, the Romancing the Stone one, we were like, we just want to write an adventure, and Honeymooners is like a getaway in a completely different way. And this is in that it almost feels like you're in sort of like a different world because it takes place in like the Red Rocks of Utah. So that kind of like, almost Mars looking sort of landscape and stuff. So I think we did put a little bit of thought in that, I think this time, of wanting it to feel like it was an escape, even if it wasn't like a tropical desert and, it was something a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, I think initially in the first probably 10 or 15 books we wrote, which is such a weird thing to say.
Bestsellers.
Our goal was to just write a better book each time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just wanted to get better with every book. And then I think we hit a certain point where we're like, that is a very stressful goal to set, because some books are going to be more commercially successful than others. And we can't always predict what it's going to be. And if we set that goal that like, we now have to be the audience of the Honeymooners, which is our biggest seller since like Beautiful Player, it's just hard to set that goal for yourself. The goal, I think, needs to be continue to enjoy this job, because if we are enjoying the writing process, then the readers are going to enjoy reading it. If it's fun for us to write, that's going to come through in the writing. And so I think as long as we're writing something that we enjoy and we are writing this story that we would want to read, that we're going to be successful. And whether that translates and it sells as well as other, some of our other books, at that point, it's out of our hands.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of can't worry about it so much. Our part is just crafting the best book that we can. So,
and in Soulmate, I think we turned it in and we went, oh my God, that was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then with this adventure book, we went, oh my God, that was so much fun. And I feel like readers really do pick up on that. Like we had so much fun writing Josh and Hazel, so much fun writing Honeymooners.
So much fun writing Holidays.
Mm-hmm. And those are the books, that people like say they laugh a lot, that, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where did the Honey Don't list fit in? Was that your follow-up after the Honeymooners, or did you write that one before? Because I read the afterword and you were talking about how you really hated how the first draft turned out.
So
I for a lot of books.
Loved that book. Yeah.
A lot of our books, we don't like the first draft, and that's just like, it's totally normal, I think, for not every writer. Some writers draft really clean. We are not in that group of people. Although I don't know, whatever, sometimes we are. But the Honey Don't, we wrote Twice in a Blue Moon. Actually, we wrote before Honeymooners, but it came out after because of the seasons. Honeymooners is a spring book, and it definitely feels like a vacation read. It came out.
The cover was just, that's what drew me in. That's why I picked it. Was, well, first I saw the cover, and then I'm like, I saw that the genre said romance. I'm like, oh, maybe, and this is just my own sort of preconceived notions. I thought like maybe it won't be like a well-written book, because some people think that romance novels are just not well written. I was one of those people, and then I read I did a preview of the book. I'm like, oh my God, this looks so fun. This is great. I can't wait. So then I bought it, and anyway, go on.
No, that one it is fun, and it's definitely a vacation book. It's a book you take to the beach. But
cover is just so good.
I know
they just did such a good job.
Shelf. So, but Twice in a Blue Moon is a little bit more somber in tone, and it has this sort of darker feel. It feels a little bit more autumn. So anyway, so we wrote that one first, but it came out second, and then the Honey Don't list came out in March of 2020, which was, let me tell you, that was a great time to put a book out because people don't pay attention to books.
I bet.
But I really love the Honey Don't list. I mean, I think, that book is very special to me because my sister has dystonia, which is the same movement disorder that Carrie has, my sister's presents differently than Carrie's does in the book. Hers is actually in her jaw. And so it is quite a bit more debilitating, I think, in some ways than the way we've portrayed Carrie's disability. But I love this story of, you know, James being so protective of her and really seeing her as a whole person that doesn't need to be fixed, but needs to be supported. And so it was like a really fun book to write. The Honey Don't List is like, has a very special place in my heart, even if it got a sort of a quiet reception because of what was going on at the time. I think people who are finding it now with that heart on the cover, it's been everywhere in February.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how I saw it. It was on the shelf at the bookstore leading up to Valentine's Day, I guess.
Totally.
But I wanted something to read during the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
I didn't want to watch the football game. And I'm like, what can I do that'll take me like 4 or 5 hours?
That's a section they need at the bookstore.
They do.
Yeah.
What to read during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm tell someone.
I'm reading the Honey Don't List thinking, okay, so superstar couple, they're faking it. It's all a hot mess behind the scenes. What are these ladies hiding? their own writing marriage. I was like, because I used to work in television, and you were inciting some flashbacks. There were
memories.
There were reasons I stopped working with people and started only filming animals. It's like they might bite you, but there's a shot for that. There's no shot for ego and pretension, you know. Unfortunately,
you know, we totally, I mean, everybody sees, I think, Chip and Joanna Gaines in it. That's totally unintentional. Like the thing is, you look at them on magazine covers and they look so perfect and so happy.
Yeah.
And I think
want to smack them. I have to say, I'm not a violent person. I want to slap them.
But all of the HGTV couples that are still together have that vibe of this like Instagram shiny, vivid photograph life. And so I think we just really wanted to play with the idea of like the perception versus the reality and highlight the people in the background who are like doing the
ones
work.
really doing it.
Support people. But that thing of you know, we've come a long way in terms of more realistic bodies getting out there, and things are changing, but still those super couples, those perfect things being pushed. Kim and Kanye finally packed it in. That was a shock.
I know.
Massive shock.
No one saw that.
Huge shock.
I thought she was going to be with him until the end of time. I really did.
Oh, wow.
Just because the things that she's already been with him through.
Yeah, it's like, well, if
I'm
not
like,
that,
why
then
now?
what? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought as soon as he started to sort of hurt her brand, he would come out of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it was fun to read that where, there is like a marriage, and which is hard enough, but then you've got the brand, you've got the, of that stuff that's hard to navigate.
You know,
I think somebody did say that about us once. They did ask, we were somewhere and somebody was talking, and they said something like, I heard Christina and Lauren aren't really good friends or something like that. And they didn't know that we were like in front of them, or I can't even remember. And we just laughed so hard. Like, who would keep all of this up for I cannot imagine this job if you didn't actually get along.
I mean, we're not pulling in Kim and Kanye money.
Yeah,
like, we're not. We're facade of like
the CeeLo empire.
Oh my God. Okay, so I have a question for you. What do you think the benefits would be if straight men read more romance books?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, well,
where do we start? My brain is currently reeling through all of the reactions to this, and it's going to be multi-layered, but I think there's something about the way we raise men in Western cultures where they are not physical with each other in a friendly, cuddly, way that women are, where they are not allowed to talk about feelings and vulnerabilities and sort of not always be the best version of themselves outwardly. It's, I think, men learning to acknowledge mistakes and learning to be able to say, I'm still figuring this out, or show me. I mean, I honestly think one of the sexiest things for me in a romance novel is when a hero says to the heroine, show me what feels good. Like something that like, it's almost like men expect that they have to have it all figured out before they come to us, and they don't, and we know they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, some women play along, but that doesn't work for anybody. So I think, if, especially the way that romance is being written these days, with women who are very empowered and sex forward and assertive and career driven, and even if they're not, they just want to live their best life. I think that men would really be able to see that we don't want what they think we want.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know.
I was going to say they get laid more, but your answer works too.
I mean, yours is more concise, which is like always going to be my problem.
But it's true that allowing them to feel those things and learning that it's okay. And I think the more of that, I mean, who doesn't want to know that they're okay and safe and can take risks without, that sort of toxicity? Nobody wants that.
Showing your feelings doesn't mean you're weak.
Mm-mm.
It just means that you are okay being vulnerable. And I think that's something a lot of men could really learn.
Have you guys seen Frozen 2? Are your kids?
I haven't.
Yeah. So that there's a scene where Anna is like running away from something and it's collapsing under her, and Kristoff shows up, and rather than saving her, he's like, "I'm here. What do you need?" He like, I was in the theater and I went, "Oh."
You brought it up a few times. It's a great line. I noticed it too when he said it. I'm like, wow, you don't hear that much in a kid's or really in any movie.
Every man who hates Star Wars for having too many women in it or whatever went, ugh.
Yeah. Or the ones that didn't like the new Ghostbusters movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, they're just jealous because Chris Hemsworth is freaking hot.
Oh my God. He had the best cameo in the remake of Vacation with Ed Helms.
God.
Did you guys see that one?
Yes. Oh my God.
I saw that with my husband, and my husband was just like, "Good God." I was like, shh.
I'm like her husband, because there comes a point where I go,
cover up the eyes.
I was reading My Favorite Half Night Stand, and there was like the character was having an intimate dream about Chris Hemsworth, and I took a little screenshot of it and sent it to Erin. I'm like, see, they get you.
There was a video
Not the only one.
There was like a pep talk video he did. Did you guys see that? Where he's like, "You're killing it. You're doing great." I swear 17 different women sent that to me in the same day. They're like, "Erin,
so
check
good.
this
That's
out."
all we want.
It was so well written. I don't know who wrote that, but my God, that was amazing.
My headcanon is that he wrote it. That he wrote it, he conceived of it, he did the whole thing.
It was all him. Yep.
Yes.
Like, I have this little like plaque in my office that says like, "You're awesome. Keep that shit up." Like, that's all any guy really has to say.
Right.
You're doing it today.
My boyfriend has a chart and everything ends in, "What should you do?" It ends in, "Here, would you like a glass of wine?" That's the safest answer to any question.
It's true.
So Dee is wanting to thank you because your magical abilities actually manifested a human being. I don't know if you're aware that you have this power, but Dee, do you want to explain?
Yes. So when I was first separated from my ex, he had moved out, and I had at the time, 3 daughters, and the youngest of whom was just a newborn. We had sort of parted ways, or the marriage kind of ended when I was still pregnant, but he moved out when she was very little, 3 months old. And so I was like, couldn't really do any of the things that, most people would do to cope with the split, or to bounce back after a breakup, like go out or like
girlfriends.
Yeah, go out with girlfriends. Or as Erin would say, fuck your way through this.
I'm using that somewhere.
Words. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm
I called
writing
it
down.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am at home with this new baby, but I'm like,
She's writing it down. See?
Do it. Fuck your way through this. I gave it away. But yeah, just, already been through counseling, sort of done the work, was feeling kind of restless and just ready to sort of, put my head somewhere else, but had this little baby I'm looking after. And I was actually our therapist. I call her our therapist because Erin and I use the same therapist.
I love that.
I found her.
I copied her because it's a great, I was like, "Ooh, I really like what she's doing for you." I like her work.
Yeah, she's like, "Tiana, you need to do something fun for you." I'm like, "What am I going to do?" Anyway. So then I was thinking about what she said, and I was at home kind of looking through books on my iPad, and I saw the Unhoneymooners. It popped up. I'm like, oh my God, I love that cover. Like I just zeroed right in. And then, like I already said, read the synopsis or did a little preview, got like sucked in immediately. I love rom-com movies. That's really the only genre of movie that I watch. I only like to watch movies that are funny and have to do with like, just something sort of light.
Yes.
I don't want to.
Dee, have you seen A Quiet Place yet?
Yeah.
No.
No, I don't want to watch a movie and be sad or like scared. Like, why would I want to watch something that's scary? Anyway, yeah, I read this book and I'm like getting really into the story. Obviously, the sexy parts were great too. And this Ethan, his name is Ethan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it had been a while. It's been a while since I read it. But yeah, I like get to this part in the book where I think it's Olive. They're standing on a boat and he's like standing behind her on the boat and she's sort of leaned up against, she sort of puts her back up and she can feel like the muscles of his chest through the back, like behind her. And I was like, literally in that moment, I'm like, I invite this energy into my life. It was just that one part. I was like, I will have a man like that. And I'm worth it. And like, just like you were saying, like, we write stories about like strong women who are, getting what they deserve. And I was like, this is me. That is it. I am going to find that guy, and it was so funny because then when I was, reached the point where I was ready to start dating again, I go on a dating app. I meet this guy, first guy I matched with.
She matched with.
Go on a date with him. And it's the guy, it's him.
He's got a boat.
I mean,
He's got a boat.
Not Ethan. But yeah, 6 foot 4, his big muscles.
He has a boat.
Has a boat. Yeah, this was
our romance research says this does not often happen.
But it worked.
Gonna skew your data now. Yeah.
Yeah,
God,
2 years ago.
So much.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. And yeah, now I have, my friends are so jealous because I have this 100% success rate on Tinder.
Complete
and
bullshit.
It is
complete
all because
bullshit.
of your book. All because of your book.
You should just be like, I'm telling you right now, the secret is in this book.
Yeah, well, that's the
Tell
thing.
everybody this.
And she says to me, Erin, you have to manifest it. So I just bought my my house back for my ex, and I was setting up my bedroom, and I had 2 nightstands, and I was just going to put one in the living room. And she goes, what are you doing? You have to manifest it. I was like, what? So now there's stinky socks and underwear in that drawer.
What you wish for.
That's the only drawer I gave him was the nightstand. I don't have room anywhere else. But yeah, there's now lots of clothes in there. So yes,
God.
don't underestimate
Okay, I
yourself.
love this so much.
But-
That just made my day.
There you go, the boat, and he's got a boat.
Boat guy.
If you want your own boat guy.
He's like, I feel like I was summoned. It's very strange. I wasn't even
I don't know why I'm here.
But yeah, it feels like a good moment. Best rom-coms to boost your mood. What are your faves?
I love The Proposal. I absolutely
fun.
love The Proposal.
Are we talking about movies?
Yeah, movies, books, yeah, any of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, The Proposal. In fact, my husband one day, he watched The Proposal and he said, he was like, oh my God, I loved that. And I was like, right, like that's what we write. And he was like, it is? And I was like, yeah, that's sort of what we write.
That's what we do.
And so
I think you need to do puppet shows or like just act it out.
So now he's like, read some others and stuff. He read Unhoneymooners and he was like, you're right.
Thank you, Rye.
Yes, thank you.
Books wise though, I really love, The Hating Game by Sally Thorne is such a classic. That is like, if anybody is new to the genre, I give them Unhoneymooners and I say, if you like this, I have The Hating Game I can show you. But The Roommate came out last year.
Gonna say
by
that.
Rosie Danon. That came out, I think, in June, July. What is time?
Yeah, right. We're all in a
but
loop.
you have to say why this book is great.
Well, have you read The Roommate?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
So your book, The Unhoneymooners, was my first foray into the genre at all. And then I was too scared to try any other writers because I just didn't know. I'm so sort of new to the scene. So I've just read a few more of your books, but I would love to hear your recommendations.
I mean, it
for
depends
others.
on what it is you like, I think.
The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, you have to read it. It's so funny. It's so cute.
I like the comedy, definitely.
Yeah.
You will love
the
that
rom
then.
and the com.
And
Yeah.
the roommate is really good. It came out last year, like I said, and the premise is the main character, Clara, moves out from the East Coast to LA to live in the same house as her lifelong crush. And she sort of is like spent her whole
That's
life
intense.
They're going to be roommates.
loving him. They're going to be roommates, and she's kind of got this plan that she's going to work her way into his heart. And she gets there at the airport, and he calls her and says, "Hey, I'm going on the road with my band, but don't worry, I found you a roommate on Craigslist."
Oh.
And it turns out that her new roommate is this guy named Josh, who is, wait for it, a porn star.
But
And
it's funny.
it is funny and it is adorable, and you will love Josh. He is a better feminist than I am.
Yes.
Amazing.
And it is such a great read. So I absolutely recommend that one.
Mhm.
That
The
one's
X
really
Talk.
cute. The X Talk came out in January of this year, and that is by Rachel Lynn Solomon. And that is the premise. So there's a lot of fake dating tropes in romance where you like pretend to date either to go to like an ex's wedding, or you have to pretend to be married to get your inheritance or something. This one is they are fake exes, and they both work for public radio in Seattle, and the radio station is going under, and they need a big snappy show to get the audience, the younger
Oh,
audience.
good. So
And
good.
so they don't want to do fake exes. They don't want to do a dating show. They don't want to do fake dating. They do fake exes, and they have people call in and talk about like what went wrong in their relationship.
Oh, fun.
And so they haven't ever dated, but they're pretending that they had, and they broke up, and they're answering questions about this. And it's just delicious. It's so
They
fun.
don't get along, and so somebody is like, "You guys act like you dated."
Yeah, right?
And yeah,
Amazing. Have you ever played the card game Red Flags?
Mm-mm.
no.
Dee, have you played that one with us?
No.
No, okay. So it was just a whim. Like, I'm not super into games, but somebody was like, "Oh, you got to try this if you like Cards Against Humanity." And so what it is, you need to know your friends that you're playing with to some level, because you get 2 white cards, which are 2 really wonderful qualities. Oh, this guy, he's got a boat. He's got muscles. But then you get a red flag card, and you pass it to the next player to try to sabotage their perfect partner. And it's like, but he yelled out his mom's name during sex, you know, like things like that.
Oh, that's good.
So highly recommend that game.
Okay,
That is a
I
good
wrote
one.
That sounds
down.
fun.
Yeah, it's a super
After
fun game.
fuck your way through this, I have red
Gotta
flag.
manifest that shit, right?
Uh-huh. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, manifest that shit. Hold on.
Oh my gosh. So tell us about your next book, The Soulmate Equation. Tell us about that one. I love it because you're bringing science to the clusterfuckery that is
The dating world.
the dating world. It really is. Like, Dee, you wouldn't understand, but most human beings have
I've been
to
on one date.
more than once, unfortunately, and bad things happen. So tell us about the next book.
So the Soulmate Equation takes place in San Diego. It's about this single mom named Jess. It's our first single mom, and we like kids. We both have them, but sometimes in books you're like, they're you don't want to like figure out babysitting and stuff.
They're
in your books.
inconvenient. Just
Exactly,
forget- yeah.
exactly.
It could be a
it's
bit of
fa-
a wet blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this was our first one, and she's like delightful. Like
Her
our
daughter
readers,
is additive. She does not detract.
the early readers are like, I want a 7-year-old best friend now. So she's a single mom. She has a 7-year-old. She's a statistician, and she has a best friend named Fizzy, who is a romance novelist. And they go to this coffee shop every day and work. They each do their separate things. And Fizzy is just like all about the dating. Oh, you got to manifest it. You got to do this. You got all of this. And Jess is like, I'm done. I'm just done. But there's this guy who comes in that everybody who comes into the coffee shop, they call them by their names. And so this is Americano. And they find out that he has a dating service. Well, he's getting ready to it's getting ready to go public. This dating service that essentially finds your soulmate through your DNA. And Jess reluctantly, in a very bad night, decides to do it. And it turns out that her and River are soulmates, and not only soulmates,
River
but
is
like
Americano.
Americano.
the highest match they've ever had. And so the thing that I love about it so much, I always say this, and Lo's, I'm sure, just like, stop. But like Lo has a PhD in neuroscience. And so there are companies who are doing this sort of like, you know, whether it's like pheromones or whatever, doing some sort of science-based dating. And so Lo's thing is whatever, trying to.
Yeah, right.
There's nothing like this, because like, imagine if someone could find your soulmate, and it's in like a reoccurring pattern in like DNAs, like the things that you like or the things that you don't like, or, you know, they just find a bunch of these patterns. And imagine if it could find, you know, not just the person that you're going to be in a romantic relationship with, but your doctor, the person who's going to take care of your kids, that, you know, it's just the person who's most suited to you, the most compatible. But whenever a book has some sort of science turn that just makes zero sense, Lo is like, I can't, I can't, that's not possible. So it was super fun to do this book and have the science mostly be solid, but then take it, you know, you get like a little bit of, you get some creative license with it, but enough that the scientists, because Lo's husband is a scientist too, that they were both like, okay, you know, but
it sounds fine.
It sounds plausible. Yeah. So it was just so fun, and when like thinking about how it would change the world if this happened. So that book comes out May 18th, I think. Yeah.
18th? Okay.
Yeah.
So exciting.
So what level of acceptability does the science need to reach to get your half-hearted stamp of approval?
I mean, I think it just has to be rooted in a basic tiny bite of research. You know, like there have been books where people function completely normally, but without extreme emotions, but they have like a giant lesion in their brain. And it's just sort of like, there are things like that wouldn't work. Like you could find ways to like science that up and make that a thing without basically cutting out somebody's entire amygdala. Like it just
There's a science word.
I was just thinking about that earlier too. Yeah.
You were like, amygdala, you just can't lose the whole thing.
You've got to have a little amygdala.
So I think it's like when it goes really extreme, and it does, I don't know. But I appreciate that it's hard. And I don't necessarily think that every scientist who reads the Soulmate Equation is going to be like, wow, they really knocked that out of the park. I think there are going to be a lot of people who are like, this is so unrealistic. Like, but you know, what we started with was the idea of like 23andMe or the genetic testing kits that tell you your genetic profile, tell you your background. They have huge amounts of data that they're generating.
Yeah.
And they're looking at your genetic makeup. And so, you know, our thinking was, well, if you have a situation where you've done a full psych profile and you've done a ton of questionnaires for people about what they're attracted to, what kinds of relationships have worked for them. You talk to married couples that have been married forever. You talk to people who were together for a while and broke up. You talk to people who are looking at pictures of who they're attracted to, you know. If you kind of profile somebody's entire like romantic relationship persona, and then you look at their genes, you know, it would be 20 decades, right? And you just happen to do it in like 13 years. So it's fine. But anyway, that's where it comes from. Fantastic. It was really fun.
Yeah.
They also put it in like different percentages, like a diamond match, a gold match, you know, and Fizzy, her best friend, is like, give me the like nickel match, whatever, you know, let's see what happens.
She's like, I want to see how I feel different with like a base match versus a platinum match. Like, show me what that feels like. It's cool.
At least it's in tiers and you're not sort of guessing and then going through the date and finding out after, oh, it was base level. Shit.
Yeah.
No, you like tell them I want this and above.
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
You know.
Exactly. So one of the cool things that's come out of the shittiness of the pandemic is people realizing what matters in their life and sort of getting back to themselves, whether that's starting a new business or starting to be more creative, getting back to things they've sort of abandoned. So for anyone who's out there thinking about, okay, writing has always been calling me and I got caught up in all the other things, what advice would you have for them if they're sort of like going to launch down that path after this reawakening we've all had together?
Asking for a friend, of course.
I mean, I think there's the one thing that we love about writing is that it is a great equalizer. Everybody can write. Everybody can write a book. You don't have to have a certain qualification. You don't have to have a degree. You don't have to get
No.
a license to do it. You can sit down and write a book that ends up being the blockbuster of 2021. There's nothing about you or anyone else that says that you can't be the specific person to do that. And I love that about writing. All you need is an idea. And so if you have something that you're excited about, sit down and do it. I mean, the thing about writing is here's how it goes. You are very excited at the beginning. Well, maybe you're daunted. Maybe you're like, I don't even know how to start. And then you're like, you know what? No, I'm just going to jump right in. I'm going to start. You get about a third of the way in and you're just like, energy plummets. You don't know what you're doing. Is anyone going to read this? Am I wasting my time? And that is the part you have to push through. That is the hardest part. And you just have to push through because you can't edit something that's not written. So the magic is happens in edits, and you're the only one that can tell that story. So.
And Lo's written her entire life, like her entire life. I didn't start writing until I was 32 and was recovering from a hysterectomy and found fan fiction. I didn't even know where the quotation marks went. And readers who read my fan fiction told me. And that's how I learned, by writing and writing and writing and writing. And you don't need anything. You just an idea.
Mm-hmm. I will say that if your friend does start writing, that, put your blinders on, firm up your idea, decide what you want to do. You can either be an outliner like we are because we write together, or you can be what's called a pantser, where you write by the seat of your pants. You don't know exactly where it's going. You just know your characters and you want to send them on this crazy journey. Just start writing, and don't look up and don't look around. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about what the market is doing. Don't worry about what the trends are. Just write, because even if you see somebody's publishing something that sounds very similar to yours, nobody is going to tell the story the way that you are. And especially if you're writing romance, we work with the same number of tropes. We always are playing with the same tropes, but every book feels different because it's a different voice.
I've yet to see heaving bosoms, though. No heaving bosoms yet, but I'm waiting. What is the title of the other book that you delivered today?
We don't have a title yet.
We're calling it like
Romancing the Bone.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
You're welcome.
No, the best part is that Lo would every time, because we don't have a title. Usually we have some sort of title by now. We're like adventure book ! And so Lo started like changing the title every single time that she would send it to me. And it was like, old timey something, but with consent. Or, one time she changed the title, and I didn't realize that my daughter, who is 20, so grown, was standing next to me, and I was showing her something on my computer, and then she leans in and she goes, "This book blanks your mom." And I just started. So that's why having a co-author is great, is because you just randomly do shit to crack each other up.
Dee and I, one of the things we did to keep sane, and when her kids were really, really young, mine were younger, not as young, we would go out once a week and write at a pub for 2 hours. But we use this really cool software where you write and they write at the same time, and it's all in the same document. I think it's called
Writer Duet.
Writer Duet,
yeah. Super creative name.
Have I heard this? I don't know if I've heard of this.
I know.
It's for screenplays.
Script. So it's like final draft format, but in this software, where it was so cool because then her section would be highlighted. I would go and I would finish mine. I'd be like, ugh. And then in public, because we always did this at a pub. And then I would go read her section, because it was like, I'm sure with you guys, you finish yours and you're like, yeah, that feels awesome. And so wait a second, this whole other human being has created more stuff, and I get to go and check that out.
Go read it, yeah.
It's such a double whammy of joy. Like, it's just such a lovely way of doing it. So yeah, why would anybody write by themselves anymore?
Yeah, I don't even know.
It's too much fun. It's too much fun.
It takes a really specific set of personalities to do it, though. We have friends who have done it, or known people who have done it, and it hasn't worked out well, because like just being friends isn't the same as like being friends and also having a business together, but a business that's like super personal and sort of vulnerable, and you like give them this thing that you're hoping that they're like gentle with.
A baby. It's a little baby every time.
It is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Which one of you is the one who likes the word grown? Because the word grown and like groans and it's just like, it's just so fun. It just so like struck me as like a word that I'm not used to reading in books.
I don't know.
I think we had to take a few groans out of Soulmate Equation. I think our editor was like, can we cut back on the growling and groaning? And I was like,
Growling and groaning.
Yes. The growling, I was, oh, it was so awkward. I was in bed reading with my boyfriend and it said growled. And I remembered this guy that during my fuck my way through it, he actually went like, "Arr, arr."
No.
It only happened once. And you're midway through and you're like, so do we pull the cord? Or do we just see where this goes?
Or we just roll with it?
And so I'm laying in bed and I start laughing, thinking about that guy. And my boyfriend's like, what's so funny? I was like, this book, let me tell you.
funny book.
The funny book, sir.
Oh, it's so awkward. And then one time I was giving a presentation. It was about talking to your kids about sexuality. And that guy was in the front row.
Oh, God.
I'm up at the front like, welcome, parents. Thank you for...
Oh, my God.
This is what you missed out on Tinder, Dee. This is what you missed.
Aren't you sad, Dee?
Yeah.
You didn't get a growler.
She has
I
a
didn't
boat.
get a growler.
Well,
the
thank you
stories.
both. Thank you. This has just been a joy talking to you both. I love it. Thank you for the books and the ongoing joy that you provide for everybody. And we look forward to helping continue share that joy with other women who are going through a tough time in their lives. So thank you for all you do.
It was fun.
Of you. Yeah, this was awesome.
So much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for making the time to listen. We know you have way too much going on.
If you can spare a little more time, though, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at DeMarriedLife or visit us at demarriedlife.com for all of our episodes, articles, and lots of other great ideas for living a post-married life that isn't a total shit show.
See you there.